Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan battle video. In this video I thought we'd do something a little bit different and we talk about 5 categories that I feel need a little bit of love and a little bit of attention in DBZ Dokkan battle. So the very first category that we're going to start with is the Margin Power category, a category that only has 2 leads in the form of LR Physical, Go Tanks or Boo Tanks, and obviously the Tech Boo and Evil Boo. The category itself is okay. It's got some pretty strong units individually speaking. Boo Tanks has aged really well, still a very strong unit, especially in long form events. You've got the Strength Kid Boo who came out recently, who's a powerhouse and definitely a top 10 TUR in the game, if not currently a top 5 TUR in the game on global side. You've got this Tech Boo and Evil Boo who, although necessarily aren't the fastest starting unit, still are incredibly powerful when they get into their Super Boo form. And then you have this Tech Boo, who's also relatively decent, along with also the Int Majin Buu Kid or Babidi one. The real issue I have with the Majin Buu saga is that there's too many limited options. So if we look at Majin Power as a category, you've got, maybe 3 or 4 really good units. Chances are people are only going to have 1 or 2 of those at most, and even then within the category itself it can lose a lot of synergy. It'll be really strengthened with things like an EZA for the Strength Transformation Boo. I think that's going to be something that's really going to kick the category into gear. I think he's got a very interesting design. I think we could definitely get a new Majube. The current one we have is really not orientated towards Margin Power, and I just think getting a new Majube is going to help the category the most. A new Android 21 would also be decent, a LR Kid Boo would also be great, a standalone Boohan, a new one, would also be really good and help out the category. Just overall needs a bit more. Like I said, I got this Kid Boo recently. It's got a couple interesting units here or there like Janembu or the Kid Boo Babidi, but just overall I don't think it's got enough options. It needs another powerhouse unit or a synergy unit. Androids recently got Android 19 and 20, and they're a great unit because they provide synergy, they're decent, they provide a lot of utility, they cover a lot of gaps the Androids team had. And I think Margin Power is a category that desperately needs this. The next category is GT bosses. So GT bosses will get some buffs in future, I can imagine. 1 or 2 minor buffs for sure, but it definitely needs more buffs. Firstly, only 1 major lead. We have the Battlefield Omega Shenron, but we need new leads. Like Super 17's a lead, but he doesn't even function that well with GT bosses. He's like clearly designed for an Androids team, which is confusing to no end, but it is one of those things. So yeah, Super 17 aside, we need some new options here where we can really kind of pick them up. I think Baby is definitely a unit that's currently underused. We have a great Super Baby 2, and we currently have a unawakened Baby Youth form, but we don't have any just Super Vegeta babies. We don't have any just Super Saiyan baby. We don't have like transforming baby. We don't have possessed Goten. We don't have possessed Gohan. We're just missing a lot of interesting options you can kind of add into this team. You've got some nice synergy units like Rildo, who's actually a pretty nice synergistic unit for the GT Bosses team. But you could do quite a few different variations of Rildo. We have like 1 good Hyper Meta Rildo and we have 1 good Metal Rildo, but we could get like quite a few variations. We have no Ice Shenron. We're missing a couple of the dragons from the Shadow Dragons. Oceanus is pretty good, but we could definitely do with a new Ice Shenron, a more extreme orientated Nova Shenron. There's just a lot that we can go on. I know we will get some slight buffs in future to this category, but I just think they could diversify it a lot more. I think when they diversify it, they're going to help out a lot more other categories, but overall they just need to add more. We could have an ugly Oceanus Shenron, we could have a Haze Shenron, we could have Naturon's Shenron, like all of them. They don't have to be great, they can just be synergistic units. And things like the Hellfighters 17s, not being on the category is something that doesn't really help it out. Like Hellfighter 17 is technically a boss. He does turn into Super 17. Just having these two guys, for example, would have made GT bosses better. Yes, they obviously help Super 17 on the androids category, but it would have really helped out the GT bosses category because you provide a great running partner for Super 17, along with also just expanding the roster of units for this category. That brings me into my next section. So this is Shadow Dragon Saga. Now, Shadow Dragon Saga, again, is a category we're going to see receive buffs in future. It's not really something, it does have stuff coming around the corner, most likely. But the thing is, Shadow Dragon Saga also is a category I think would just do with some filling out. New Majubes would help it out. All the new Shadow Dragons would help it out a lot, of course. But there's also some side characters that are just not very well represented. We could definitely do with a new Trunks. We could do with a brand new Trunks GT. It would help us all out a ton. It would really make the whole team run a lot better. Pan as well, underrepresented in Shadow Dragon Saga by like a country mile, which I think is just not great. Vegeta, like we don't have a lot of the various forms of Vegeta that you could have for the Shadow Dragon Saga. There's just a lot that's kind of missing from Shadow Dragon Saga, and for me, although the category itself might be receiving buffs, I feel like there's a lot of good moments you could kind of give buffs on their own. Spirit Bomb Goku being a great point. There's a pivotal moment in the show, and he could definitely do with even a new free-to-play LR. Now, the next unit or category, I should say, is the Giant Form category. Now, this category is just a shambles. It just really doesn't work that well at all. It needs a lot more to go on for it, like just a lot more in general. So we need like new leads. Tapion's a great unit, and he's super strong and he's super powerful, but he is by far and away the best lead. Lord Slug is not a good lead. Then we got some decent buffs in the form of the Giant Ape units, Raditz, Goku, the Vegeta as well, the AGL Vegeta. But that's only 3 units, and they were good buffs, but they weren't necessarily enough to provide overall synergy. Giant Form is a category that struggles because a lot of the units just don't link with each other. There's a lot of buffs that could be done to this category overall that could really dramatically improve its overall performance. You look at Demigrid. Demigrid is a Giant Form category unit. He doesn't link with anyone. He's got no mesh ability in this team. He's just there. It's the same with things like Bergamo. It's the same with Lord Slug. There's just a lot of things that don't mesh very well. So you need a lot of revamps. Getting another Super Namekian in there would be great. Getting revamps to the the Bardock team would be great. All the Bardock team members receiving easy A's. You can make them busted. I know they're on a lot of categories, but make them really good. But even if you only make them good in Giant Form, make them good in Giant Form then, but they can't be worse than their free-to-play counterparts. It's just really, really bad. Ribrianne could get a new Giant Form. There's a lot of different Giant Forms in the series that you could utilize. It's a technique that comes out there. There's some from the manga that could also come out as well, which would be great. I think there's missed opportunities. Like, I know Garlic Jr. technically is more a full power form, but you could possibly swing something like him into Giant Form. But it just needs something. It's just very not well put together, and it needs a huge revamp. And this extends into the Namekians category. I constantly bring it up because it is just a category that is completely and utterly a mess. We have one good Demon King Piccolo, we have one good Nail, and we have one good Piccolo. Okay, and Piccolo and Nail are only good because they're incredibly powerful defensively together, with Piccolo's ability to 4C super attacks and Nail's big damage reduction. But that's it. Demon King Piccolo himself as well is just a good defensive unit. There's no other units that rock the boat here. There's no incredibly powerful Piccolo. The Interworld Tournament Piccolo could do with an easy A. The Namek Piccolo, the tech one, is decent. I think a lot of people give him a hard time, but he doesn't have great synergy with his team. He's a Planet Namek support unit, which is great, but not all the Piccolos are on Planet Namek support. He could have been a Planet Namek and a Namekian support. Just a very small difference, to him as a unit would have made the rest of his team function so much better. We don't have a Kami, we don't have a Dende, we don't have a standalone Piccolo fused with Nail, we don't have a standalone Piccolo fused with Kami. You could introduce all those things and the team would function better. We have Demon King Piccolo, Elder, and we have Demon King Piccolo, Demon King Piccolo. We haven't got a new Mon Jr., we haven't got any new Demon King Piccolos, we don't have, like I say, it's just a mess. Like, there's just so much they could do with the category, and it's not hype things. They couldn't make a whole bunch of summonable units based on Piccolo, but 100% they could bring out some better free-to-play rewards, some better synergistic units. They could bring out a whole new range of units and just help out this team. New free-to-play units, revamp some of the old ones, and the Namekians would really function fine. And the Namekians is such a big category that isn't Saiyan or this or that I think it's just lost on. But that's it for my 5 categories. I thought I'd just talk through them and kind of talk about what I want to see changes done to them and things like that. But let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions. I want to hear what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you think there's other categories that deserve the attention more? Would you choose other categories? How would you fix these ones? There's just a whole lot going on. So yeah, let me know guys what you guys think. I'd love to hear it. I think it will be it's a very interesting discussion always to have, you know, especially because we can always see what JP does and everything, and we kind of know where units are coming from and what's happening. But I think overall, definitely all these categories, whether it's a straight revamp or just new power spiking, or even if it's just like getting better spread or recognition of units, like Shadow Dragons is not a bad category in any way, shape or form, but there's just so much more you could do with it, so much more interesting things you could do with it, so many more interesting situations you could have going on in Shadow Dragon Saga, in GT bosses. I just think there's a lot of missed opportunities. But that's it from me guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So until then, as always, take care, stay safe, and bye.